Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the European Crossover webinar. And we're seeing the Nasdaq push a little bit higher in here. We are back above that pivot that kind of fell back in Asia, and we kind of rebounded a little bit. And we sat here and we pushed a little bit higher. I don't know how much follow through we're going to get, but key would be right here at this 15,000. Almost 15,160 if we get above that. But when you look on the profile, as I mentioned before, key levels of 15,149 to 15,153. So I thought we'd be able to push there yesterday, and we couldn't. We just kind of faded back. So we'll see whether what's made of this. But this market does look a bit tired. And I'm looking here on the SPOOs also. Taking a look here at crude, though, we have continued to rebound. Remember, yesterday we were looking for 65.24 on the bias chart. That was our bias chart support, and then that ended up holding very well. I think we only went 9 cents lower or something like that, and we've had heck of a rebound since then. It's mainly on probably just decent short covering, but that was a key level, and that's all I went with was just the levels on that. I'm not going to go into that anymore, but I'm just saying that's what was derived from. But we're kind of holding here. We'll see whether or not we can push up in here. Also taking a look here with gold. That really got knocked pretty hard. Yesterday when we came on air, remember we were at 1754, and but we had just hit that. We were coming back. I think we were at 51 at that point, and then you can see here the rest of the day we just gently started working a little bit lower. And that's where we're at right now. Bitcoin is seeing one heck of a move. I think when we did I have to pull this up. I looked at it later on in the morning. Oh yeah, it did get above that area here, even with the updated area. Yeah, I see here. $46,355 popped above it, and then you actually had on a 30-minute look. You had a bit of a medium-legged doji. See that? So we've allowed the market to pull back, and it has. And right now, key would be probably right there. I guess right there, 46,131. So we'll see whether or not that can push above it. That would be key. May need to go in and take a pause after the run that it's already had. Pretty good run. Taking a quick look at the euro, and we had already laid out where we thought the market could move, and the levels that we put in place were for the week. Like I said, remember I told you yesterday, I don't think we'll get there, but as of yesterday, those are the levels that we laid out for the week. Here's 1713. So there's really not going to be any change. The 1713 is really in place. The only thing that's going to change is the resistance. So we might as well go and get started. And we do have economic data at the top of the hour. We'll have German zoo numbers. Forecast is for 30. Previous was 21.9. That's current conditions. Economic center, 56.7 is the forecast. Last was 63.3. Then we have Eurozone economic sentiment indicator also at the top of the hour. And as we roll into the U.S. session, we'll have non-farm payroll, non-farm productivity for the second quarter. That'll be at 8:30 Eastern, and that'll be it. Except for we do get oil data, but that's after the cash close. So here we are with the euro. And there's my 1713. So no changes here. On the downside, down the upside, run it across the bodies. 1763. Now that's pretty close though. So let's get a little more room here. Yeah, right there, 1786. So we could move them higher. It's not till about 86 that we start to see some pressure. So 1786 on the upside. Let's go move into the cable. Okay, you can see yesterday we did go and take a little bit further dip, but kind of holding on here. We were looking potentially for a move to 38.13 if we saw a little bit further pressure. And we're still holding up relatively well ahead of that. The low so far has only been 38.35, but we'll stick with that 38.13. Once again, on Monday, we kind of lay out the levels for the week as they're going to be. So I don't see any changes there. On the resistance, right there, 39.04. Moving into the Aussie dollar. So we had this potentially moving back down to 72.59. It did come down to 73.15, still a ways off. So we're kind of flirting in here. I still like the 72.89 for a break of this. And on the upside, and because Aussie's just been so quiet overall for the last 2 weeks, we haven't really moved a lot. Although last week we did, prior to NFP, we did make that move to challenge the 74.27, that key weekly level. So it's not really been much of a change here at all. We had on the upside 73.95. And yeah, that's going to still remain the same, 73.95. No changes there. On to the dollar yen. So we're still scooting here in the dollar yen. You can see that. Nice little move up in here. And we actually had these reversed around, obviously. So 1055 is still going to be the same. It's reversed out. And for support, we had it down to 962 in case it dipped back. If you look here and you come across these touches here, this body, this wick right here, that did give us our 962. Probably move that higher up to 975 and right there, 987. 987. And moving on to the cash dollar index. So we're back above the old 92.83. We've made that push above there. So we're back above that level, kind of pushing a little bit higher. No changes. It's 93.26. And on the downside, 92.38 is just fine. And that's if we would turn around and roll over, that's where we find some support. Once again, it's the dog days of summer, so we're just not really seeing that much of a change. And with that, we'll go and move into Bitcoin. So we did go and take a look here, and we're looking for 46. Let me go back here. Pulled up on that daily. That's the key level right there, is at 46.3. We'll stick with that 46.3 or 46.343. Obviously, it's bullish, no longer bearish. Should have changed that yesterday. And for support, it's going to be right there, 44.519. Next up, going to be the SPOOs. You can see here we're a bit stretched. I just don't see where the catalyst is going to come for us to push a whole lot higher. We did have the 44.50, and then beyond that was 44.82, but I thought maybe we'd be able to push above from this area here. You can see coming right across here. We finally start to push above, and we're just not going anywhere. If you see that? So we come in here, we break above here, and we're just kind of sitting in there, basically consolidating up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. Finally get above it. Okay, are we going to extend a new leg? We get NFP. Figures come out very well. But of course, there was concerns about the taper talk, which is not going to happen right now. But anyway, and then we close with the down day, and then right now we're still a little bit lower. It's just going to have a really tough time. We just don't see where we can go a whole lot higher to extend another leg. We're just this, and the SPY volume was horrible yesterday. So we're still looking at, internals are starting to a certain extent, weaken a bit here. And that's what you look for is where this market, you come out of this range in here, and you can see this more clearly on the 2-hour chart. It's bumping up, bumping. Finally, we get above it, and we kind of slide there. Then we kind of hang on, and get above. And at this point, the market's starting to get tired, or at least it appears when you look at it. We talked about the same thing similarly when we talked about gold, although we're looking at this on a more closer basis where you can see here as opposed to when we're looking on the 2-hour chart on the gold, we were bouncing around. Here the market is just getting tired. Doesn't mean we're just going to start to fall off. The thing sells off big time, but nonetheless, once again, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that this market is really struggling. And when you look at it overall, you see we've had a pretty solid run. So those are the things you have to, when you look at this market and you think, okay, is it susceptible to a pullback? And it is susceptible. But you don't go from bullish to bearish. You go from bullish, and then you go to basically flat, and then you can start to tilt to bearish. I'm just saying this. So when I see this, and obviously you got to go with the way the market's been. It's certainly been just taking off like gangbusters. But look at these moves here, and we saw a pretty good fallback. And you see here where we ran out of gas here. Up in here, we tried to break out. We fell back in. We tried to come back up here again. It just wasn't able to do it. And you can see here, it wasn't like, okay, it wasn't able to do it, and then the market just crashes. And that might be a bit of a stretch to say that, but I'm just trying to put things in just as an example. You can see here, no, what happens is the market pulls back, then it sits there and it's trying to see, can we give it one more last try? We slip back, and then we fall, decent, okay, little fall, not huge, but we make one more run, and then this really has some concerns when you look at this. Right there. So that looks like right there's a nice gravestone doji after trying to get back up again. And that really opens the floodgates, because at that point there's going to be stops and more stops. And that's what and it feeds on that thing. Well, we saw a nice rebound. So basically he says, oh, you guys were wrong. Now we're finally back in the driver's seat again. And we kind of finagle around here. We come back and touch. You can see here. See how that which was resistance before now becomes support, this 43.68. So we keep rotating back to the top end. We fall back, but things are still bullish. And, Powell still asserting that it's going to be a long time before they do that. And then we have the earnings reports from last week, and market's still pushing higher, and things are looking real well overall, although then the COVID thing starts to pop up, but there's always going to be a reason that the market will find. And so we make one more dip back. Who knows what this was, might have been data point, I don't remember. But anyway, we tagged at 43.68. So we come back up again, And look, everything's still bullish. We come back here. Oh, you got to be buying this thing. You have no choice. And you can see here, they're holding these shorts hostage. I mean, it's just like, man, when you short it, you're just like, why did I do that? Because they're just, it's like a frog in boiling water. It just keeps taking you higher and higher and higher and higher. Finally, we get above here. It's like, look, this thing can really move higher. We're looking at 4,500. We're looking at 4,550. And I mean, those are the thoughts. So we start to move above here. And then we kind of stall and we fall back. And so you're thinking, okay, well, it fell back, but we should go on and bounce. And instead, we just start grinding a little bit higher, a little bit higher. We're back above here. So you're thinking, okay, where's the next leg? Shouldn't there be a lot of stops here? Is it going to take these people out of their positions? And no, we're just not finding any momentum here. Now we're starting to fall back again. And so now this market's trying, we're starting to tighten up and so the outlooks are going to be start tightening up, like instead of like where we had 44.50 and after that with 44.82, and I start to say, well, wait a minute, maybe it won't even get there. So then we come back in here, and now resistance right now is going to be right there, 44.30. That's not even that much. We'll go with the tips on here. Let's call it 44.32. That isn't even that much. We'll have to let's see how the market reacts against that. But once again, I don't know where they're going to find the impetus. What's the impetus? What's the catalyst now to move higher? We had the 44.12, so we'll keep that in place, and then that's that. So let's go and take a look at the Nasdaq. But I just want to go on and break that down, so that if we do go and start to slide, I'm not saying, oh, we were calling it. No, but I'm just saying is that we're prepared and we're thinking, okay, we're starting to see something here. So now we go and take a look here on the 2-hour chart on the NASDAQ. Let's go to the daily. And I posted this in the chat room and I posted on Twitter. And if you look at this chart, open it up. So here's the move that we had, and boy, what a stellar move it's been. And actually, we're going to take this even further back. So here's the measured move from November to February. Now you can see here, pretty nice run. And what we do is we duplicate that for the next measured move after the dip, which wasn't much of a dip, but a dip it was. So when we do that, that takes us right to where we're at. Maybe just a little bit below, like 15, 110 or 100, whatever. But we're above it, but nothing ever meets exactly to the tip or to the T. And actually, if you move this here, that's probably a little bit higher there, which would have made this a little bit higher. Actually, if you look at it, so this probably should have been a little bit. Say there. So really there is more in line. But nothing's ever perfect. But anyway, but when you look at it, it's not any difference if it's off a little bit or whatever. But you can see this measured move, it matches the measured move that we saw there. You can see that pretty good move here before we then start to rotate lower. So we're essentially in the same boat. Now, when we look over a much shorter time frame, and I'm talking about this arrow, this one here. This was just a phenomenal run. Look at that. It was just running over people. It just kept pushing higher. Well, it's a little bit overdone. It just kept getting more overdone, which is one of the reasons I don't, like I said, not going to get on that soapbox again, but why I don't believe in oscillators. But you can see how this market just kept going higher and higher and higher without a pullback of any ilk. Finally get a little bit of a pullback here. And you get this dip back from here. But we had a pretty good move here. So you can see here the market pulls back, and here's the next leg, which is very, very short. That takes us into basically where this extension is. And then we spend the next 8 days, essentially 7 days, consolidating as we break back, we fall back in here, and we're trading very quietly as we consolidate this move. We're staying above the 14,810, 810 overall, which is key on the daily. We did have a dip down to 177, but overall, this market's holding up relatively well. So now it's time to break out again. Okay, we're on our way. We get earnings reports and everything's coming out hunky-dory. We start to push higher. Everything's solid. Hey, maybe we're going to get to fib. I had some fibs much higher up in here, I guess on the 2-hour chart. No, here we go. Look at that. Even up here to 16,631, a 261% extension. Because you're thinking, wow, this market just looks like it's going to go on another lake. It's bananas, but it is what it is. But we do make this run up in here. Nice solid close. And then here we are. We kind of close lower here, which is on Friday, and that's on NFP day. And then yesterday, we do come back, and remember we open lower or we push lower because of the down move we saw in gold. It kind of spooked a lot of people, but we came back. But here we are. We're still trying to get back above it, and it's going to have a tough time. And I shared before on the profile 15,149, which I was hoping that would take it out early in the morning. It didn't, and then when it came later afternoon, I thought, okay, now once they got back above 15,126, now they're going to take it out. They still weren't able to go in and take that out. So for now, we'll go with 15,153, which was a key area on the profile. And for support, $15,078. A little bit tight, but it's going to be, we may see a bounce from there, but that's actually probably going to be a trigger if we get beyond that and really start to accelerate some things. I just noticed it. Oh my God, look at that. Just saw that. Doggone it. Look, we went right there. There's that 15,149 I told you about. Right there. There it is. And I shared that yesterday, 15,149. And then we put it for now for 15,153. And then we'll take a look at gold. No changes here, 1754, and then on the support on the downside, to move to 30-minute. I don't think it's going to be anything that close on the profile, but we'll see. My value area low comes at 1722, so we'll go with that. And moving into crude oil. We did pretty good with that moving crude oil. Just go keep it simple, 68.10. And support 67.20. RTH. Yeah, we'll go 67.20. And there we have it. There's the buyer's chart. For today, we're going to get that posted into the room. And thanks for joining us here on the European Crossover webinar. Amira asked about natural gas. Let me take a look at natural gas. Wow, this thing is really taking off like bananas. I guess because of summer. Key level right now is going to be right there. That close 416. If we take a look on the 2-hour chart, right there, 411.8. 411.8 is going to be resistance. Let's take a look here. Yeah, 411.8. 411.8. And as long as we stay above it, 386. But the resistance, you can see here, that was support here, right there, 411.8. Okay, well, there we have it. Thanks for joining us here on the European Crossover webinar, and we'll see you in the chat room.